There is a place on Earth where compasses spin wildly, radios go silent, and instruments fail without warning. A place where meteorites strike with unusual regularity, where locals tell of strange lights, alien visitors, and phantom helpers vanishing into the desert night. Welcome to the territory of the Zona del Silencio, the silent zone of northern Mexico. Some call it Mexico's Bermuda Triangle. Today we delve deep into the desert, the legends, the science, and the mystery behind this enigmatic land. Let's begin with where we are. The Silent Zone is located in the high desert region of northern Mexico, in the so-called Bolson de Mapimi, a basin that spans the states of Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila. It sits roughly between the parallels 26 degrees and 28 degrees north, the very same latitudes that mark the infamous Bermuda Triangle. An arid, sun-scorched landscape of cacti, scrub, wind-carved rocks. Many visitors describe it as otherworldly. Here's the logic of the mystery. This remote terrain is sparsely populated, remote indeed, and the stories of unusual phenomena there began decades ago. But the key point, this isn't just ghost stories. There are reports of equipment malfunctions, magnetic oddities, and meteorite strikes, and the legends build from those. The name itself, Zone of Silence, is already evocative. According to one version, it refers to the frequent failure of radio transmissions, as though invisible forces were at work. Our story begins with a pilot in 1939, Francisco Sarabia Tinoco, who broke the speed record flying from Mexico City to New York. Records say that while flying over this region, his radio went silent and his instruments malfunctioned. He later landed safely, but the strange silence stuck in people's minds. From that moment, the region earned a reputation for odd signal behavior. Over time, reports accumulated. Radios would not transmit, compasses would go haywire, and electricity supposedly behaved unpredictably. In one narrative, engineer Harry de la Peña tested the area near Cerro La Damiana and found that radio waves were distorted or absent. These weren't just tourist tales. They were phenomena witnessed by those attempting to probe the desert's depths. More than just radios, there are reports of vehicles breaking down inexplicably, instruments going off-scale, and travelers losing not only signals but sense of direction. In many ways, it echoes the classic Bermuda Triangle lore. One of the most pivotal historic events that pushed the Silent Zone into global awareness occurred in July 1970, when a U.S. test missile, an Athena RTV rocket, launched from Green River, Utah, was supposed to land at White Sands, New Mexico, but instead veered dramatically off course and plunged into the Histabula of the Silent Zone. The missile carried 2 small containers of radioactive cobalt-57. Hundreds of tons of soil were later removed from the impact site as part of the cleanup. The official records do provide this much, but what followed is where the myth takes root. Local ranchers spoke of strange American recovery teams operating in the wilderness, strange occurrences in the crash zone, and magnetic anomalies so strong that some claimed the missile had been pulled off trajectory by the very forces of the desert. Whether that's physically possible or not is another story. The significance is that the event anchored the Silent Zone firmly in the public imagination as a place where even rockets misbehave.
Once you open the door to unusual phenomena, the reports quickly multiply. In the Silent Zone Legendarium, you'll find the following recurring motifs. Strange lights and fireballs hovering in the night sky, changing color, arcing across the desert horizon. UFO sightings, including orbs that appear and disappear, or craft that seem to be drawn to the region. Encounters with two tall men and a woman with pale blonde hair who show up to help stranded tourists or ranchers and vanish without a trace. For example, a ranching family have spoken of frequent visits from two men and one woman, all Spanish-speaking and with long blonde hair. One time they reportedly told an inquisitive family member they come from above. Stories of animals inexplicably appearing here to die, or a fossil-laden salt flats and desert flora mutated in curious ways. According to some, the desert tortoise found here is unique. The cactus even takes on violet hues. These tales, taken individually, might feel like fringe anecdotes, but as a body, they contribute to the aura of the place. Some call it an anomalous weirdness territory. Others call it classic paranormal hotspot. In either case, it's compelling narrative material. Of course, no good mystery video is complete without a look at the possible scientific explanation. What geology or magnetism could be at play here? Ancient seabed and mineral deposits. The region was once submerged in the Tethys Ocean millions of years ago, leaving marine fossils in its limestone bedrock and salt flats. It also contains elevated concentrations of minerals like iron, silver, gold, hematite, goethite, lithium, and cobalt. As one article explains, because there is a lot of mineral, there is magnetism somewhat abnormal. Magnetic anomalies. Some geologists propose that the mineral and rock formations create localized magnetic fields that might interfere with compass needles or radios. In fact, the Silent Zone lies near Trino Vertex, where three states meet, and is sometimes called the triad vertex of anomalies. Could this magnetism explain why aircraft instruments or communications may fail when crossing the region? Possibly, but the evidence is mixed. Meteorite concentration. According to research, multiple meteorites have struck the area in the 20th century. For example, one in 1938, another in 1954 on the same ranch. One hypothesis, the area's magnetic field attracts meteorites, or altitudes and geomagnetic configuration make it a sweet spot for meteorite impact. Whether true or not, the myth gains strength when paired with observable meteorite fragments in the region. Acoustic and radio wave anomalies. Engineers and radio operators have claimed that radio waves fail or are attenuated here, hence the name. Yet skeptics point out that mountains, terrain shadowing, and simply remote infrastructure may explain many of these failures. Indeed, compasses and radios do work sometimes in the zone, leading some to suggest that the legend shifts location, the zone moves around, rather than having fixed physical boundaries. Let's hear two stories that give texture to the mystery. The Ernesto and Josefina Diaz incident. In 1975, a couple, Ernesto and Josefina Diaz, drove into the Silent Zone to collect unusual rocks and fossils. A rainstorm trapped their truck in soft terrain. Two mysterious tall men in yellow raincoats and caps appeared. They helped push the vehicle out of the mud, but when the husband got out to thank them, they had vanished. No footprints, no trail. To locals, this story serves as evidence that something beyond ordinary resides here, something protective but inscrutable. Light anomalies and channel failures. Another recurring report. Travelers and ranchers claim that even if someone shouts, the sound does not travel. One YouTuber, Beto Pasillas, insisted that radios and cell signals were absent, and even his meter detected high magnetism in the desert. While these stories may not survive rigorous peer review, they persist because they're compelling and because they spark the imagination.
Why is the silent zone often called Mexico's Bermuda Triangle? The comparison arises because both are remote zones associated with vanished signals, navigational anomalies, and unexplained phenomena. Both lie near or between critical lines of latitude, the silent zone around 27 degrees north, same as Bermuda Triangle. Both attract conspiracy, pop culture, and paranormal tourism. However, the silent zone is on land, not sea, and its phenomena are desert-based rather than maritime. And importantly, whereas the Bermuda Triangle's disappearances have been largely debunked or attributed to natural causes, the silent zone's legend rests less on documented disappearances and more on anomalous signals, strange beings, and local myth. The label fits from a storytelling perspective, but from a scientific one, they're different kinds of mysteries. As compelling as the stories are, let's apply a bit of healthy skepticism. Investigations show that compasses, radios, and other electronics do work in the silent zone. There's no verified, reliable zone where nothing functions. Some investigations note that signals can fail due to terrain, mountains, lack of infrastructure. The tall blonde beings and guardian angels are anecdotal. They leave no physical trace. They sit firmly in the realm of folklore. Economic and infrastructure factors. Remote zones naturally have less reliable electronics, weaker signals, harder salvage operations. Some reports of meteorite concentration may be driven by academia, but may also be embellished. The idea of the zone attracting meteorites is intriguing, but evidence is not conclusive. Finally, tourist marketing plays a role. The legend draws visitors to small ranching towns, so some stories may be amplified for mythic appeal. In short, yes, the silent zone is fascinating, yes, it deserves study, but it's also a fertile ground for folklore, myth-making, and mystery tourism. The challenge is to honor the reports while also acknowledging the limits of verification. Why do we care about places like the silent zone? Here are 3 reasons. They sit at the intersection of science and myth. The geology is real, the reports are real, and the mysteries engage both rational inquiry and wonder. They show us how human beings handle the unknown. When something weird happens, radio drops, compass spins, truck stalls, we reach for explanation. When the explanation is incomplete, legend grows. They remind us that our planet still holds remote places where nature behaves differently, where infrastructure is thin, and where the mind fills gaps. Places like the silent zone become mirrors for our fears, our fascination with aliens, and our love for stories of the other. In other words, the silent zone is important not just for what may be happening there, but for what it reveals about us. What are we left with when we leave the desert? A remote and inhospitable stretch of Mexican desert with unique geology and real-world anomalies. A set of stories, of equipment failures, meteorites, strange lights, even mysterious visitors that challenge our assumptions. A caution. Many claims remain unverified. Some may be exaggerated, but the sense of mystery is genuine. And a final intrigue. If, after reading all this, you ever find yourself driving along a lonely desert road and your radio crackles out, your compass spins in circles, the night sky glows with odd lights, maybe, just maybe, you're in the silent zone. So whether you chalk it up to magnetite, meteorites, malfunctioning gear, or something more extraordinary, this land invites questions, because maybe the greatest mystery in all of this isn't what happens in the silent zone, but why a place can capture our imaginations so completely. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Mexico's Bermuda Triangle, hit like and subscribe for more mysteries of the unknown. Drop a comment below. Would you dare enter the silent zone? Until next time, keep looking at the skies and keep asking, what else is out there?